to understand about anxiety?
It's something that I feel is very complex, especially for women, because I know, like, if my progesterone's low, I told my husband, it was like 2 days ago, I was in right after ovulation, estrogen's dropping, and I'm like I looked at him and I'm like, "If you could be in my head right now, it's like hell." I was like, "It's like hell." Like, when your progesterone, you know, I'm not making enough progesterone, like, I get body anxiety to where everything in me vibrates. It's like someone plugged me into a wall socket, and it is no matter what I do, I can breathe, I can meditate, I can do all the things, but nothing works. And I think, you know, there's all these tools that we have, and at some point, sometimes nothing works. And I think the people around us have to be compassionate to that, because there's just some days that, you know, there's so many, like I said, so many components. There's a hormonal component. There's, you know, if I'm really triggered by something, you know, that from trauma, which seems to be for me now. I think my anxiety is definitely, there's a physical component to it, as far as like I said, hormonally. I think, is a huge piece for me that definitely exacerbates the problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think people don't realize how layered and complex anxiety can be, and how many different triggers we can have, you know, what can be triggering it, because there's so many layers to it.
What's the best way to love someone through that?
Oh, let it I appreciate it when my husband allows me to verbalize it and let it be,
Mhm.
um, and not try to fix it, but just sees me, like, you know, that I can say in my mind is a freaking living hell right now, and he's okay with it, and it doesn't, we can still go about life, but and I think that's really, it's good for me to be able to verbalize it too. Um, so, you know, I don't feel like I'm trapped in my own hell, because I think for a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people relate to that. For me, it feels like I'm trapped inside of a cell. And if I don't express to people what's going on around me, it feels so lonely.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, just allowing for that person to express what's going on inside is, for me, it's really helpful and cathartic, because it, as soon as I vocalize it, it's like the elephant just got, you know, is now out of the room, and
Yeah.
um there's some space around it.
Well, anxiety, correct me if I'm wrong, is kind of isolating in and of itself. Like
Hmm.
it's a mental loop. So if you're already kind of in your head, and then if you can't verbalize, it's like really isolating.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, sometimes the body anxiety can be so intense, and it's,
Mm.
and then all of a sudden I will get in my head about just the fact that I can't control what's going on. So, you know, acceptance is huge, knowing that I do have tools, um, and knowing that it will pass. Like, that's been one of the biggest things for me. I know everybody's like, "Oh, everything's temporary," and my mind goes to, "Yeah, but how long is it gonna take? How long is this gonna last?" And now it's like, "Okay, I can ride this wave."
Mhm.
And, you know, I think that acceptance is huge, because I have started to notice that it really is a wave, and it will come and it will go.
Mhm. Mhm. I've heard you talk about dancing before. Is that, and
Mhm.
like exercise I've heard is a really good thing, like getting the body to move and kind
Yep.
of blowing off some of the energy through movement.
Mhm.
But I think somatic healing is really also, along with EMDR, I feel like are really some very powerful modalities that I think will become more and more common. So do you I was just at this festival, and we did, they called it Fluent Body, and they kind of wanted you to think it was maybe yoga, but you
Right.
really just got there and you just sort of flailed your body around for an hour. And let me tell you, I get why dancers are fit AF, because it was a lot of work. But you know, just being able to move your body and like use like voice and sound.
Mhm.
Do you do that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Sound
Good.
is so powerful. And
Well,
it's so
clearly, I mean,
interesting.
your voice, like, hello.
Yeah, but that's what I was gonna say. It's so interesting because I've always used my voice for other people, and it was the last place I went for myself. And so I that's why I started chanting, and now one of the practices that I do is I'll just go make sound. I don't need it to sound pretty because, all my sound usually comes out sounding pretty, and I usually am
I bet.
controlling it in some way. And I think I love that you talk about flailing your body around. It's so nice to just let our bodies and our voices move and have movement and create sound because I think there's so much freedom and just the expression of the energy that wants to come through us and not focusing on how it has to look. And for someone who's been so much in the public eye my whole life and I've been so concerned about how I look and how I sound, it's such a freeing experience and it's really uncomfortable. I can honestly, I'll go up and do it maybe for like 3 or 5 minutes, but past that, I'm like, I'm really uncomfortable. It I can't get out of my head about it, but I'll allow myself those few minutes to do it. I've gotten to where I can do it a little bit longer here and there, but
Bring
yeah,
up
there's
emotion?
something
Does it make you wanna
it
cry?
does. It bring up yes, oh my god. I can be dancing to a really joyful song and just bawl my eyes out because it's the f I that the freedom, that expression without control. It goes back to the child, like the child who thought that I had to control everything. There's so much grief there, actually. And so to touch upon that grief, it's like, whew, I can like dip a toe in and like come out of it. Um, but I've held myself there in moments where I've just let it overtake me, and it's a powerful practice. It really is.
Have you ever heard of Tarantumi? It's a workout. It's not crazy workout, but it's a little bit of a workout. But it's like 45 minutes to an hour, and you just like play one song. There's one song that plays, and you just do the same movement through it. And eventually, sometimes you add like, like your
Right?
breath and stuff to it. And then they do a heart opening at the end. And I would say about 80% of the time that I've done one of the classes, I've like for sure shed a tear or cried or had
Oh
some big
wow.
epiphany. But it's this cool blend of being able to just move your body for physical, activity and strength and flexibility, but then also pairing that up with the voice and stuff and
Hmm.
music and the verbal prompting that they do with you, like
Oh cool.
what's in there? What are you coming up against? Like, what's the story you're telling yourself? All that kind of stuff just starts to like really ruffle it up. I don't know.
Ooh, I like it.
It just came to mind because I feel like I've had so much cool stuff come through that.
I'm gonna
Um,
have to try that. What was the other thing you said you did at the festival?
yeah, oh, it was called Fluent Body, but it was I'm
Fluent
not
body.
really sure if that's like a class that you can do. I think it's just this sweet, I think she was maybe Italian. I'm not sure, but she was
Oh, got it. Okay.
leading us with music and, kind of allowing us to flail around sometimes really vigorously, sometimes really soft,
Right.
sometimes with our eyes open. We gazed at each other. It was 6 girls, and at one point in time, we're literally deadpanning, staring at each other, and,
Oh wow.
that kind of stuff's
That's
interesting.
intense. That's
Yeah.
fun.
You love dancing though, right? I feel like I've heard about
No,
this.
so that's been a real rub for me, like a place where I've been really uncomfortable. I used to dance as a child, and
Uh-huh.
then I don't remember who it was. It doesn't really matter, but someone told me that I was a better singer than I was a dancer when I was young, and it kind of stunted that piece of me. And also growing up in front of the public eye, and like I said, people wanting to keep you a kid, and then you're growing into your own body as a woman, and then being sexualized, and it was just I kind of was like, I don't feel comfortable in my skin and dancing with all of that. Just felt yeah, it felt like very uncomfortable. And so that's been one of the areas, like I said, where I've really learned to be gentle with myself. And like I said, if I get in there for one song, it's like, okay, I that's an edge for me. So
I wanna hear about then, some point down the line when you're like, "I danced naked for an hour, and there was a mirror, and"
I would it's funny because I love the full moon, and I literally have a deep desire to like go. out naked under the full moon and dance. So I need to. I think you saying that is my cue to
I'm
like do that next time.
speaking things into existence. I mean,
Yes,
there's
exactly.
something obviously happening in the quantum field. I'm curious your thoughts about it. Like the fact, I don't know if it happens to you, but sometimes it does, like something like that, that you have that thought about doing that, but I have no idea why I said that. I don't really
Mhm.
know why those words came out of my mouth, but this field around us is
Mm.
holding all of the information. And I sometimes think that that's the information from the field, just sort
Mhm.
of coming into my awareness in some level that feels like mine, but it's not mine. It's in the
Mhm.
field, and it's partly it's something to do with our conversation. But it's fascinating to think about how much we don't know is going on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's insane. And I think it's beautiful, like, we're all messengers for one another. I mean, I think that's why relationship is so important 'cause this is why I love these conversations. I end up walking away with something like that. And I think if you're open, you know, as a creator, we're all creators. But I also, I am such a it's creativity is such a huge part of my job and writing and creating, and so I'm constantly open to life. Like, I'm constantly looking and listening and, um, for inspiration, and so I'm really I feel like I'm really tapped into that, once we open ourselves up to all of the signs and things that come into our awareness, I feel like it's there all the time, I mean, it is there all the time. It's just once we open ourselves up, we now we're focused. Our focus is we're receptive to it. So
If you like this clip and you want to hear the whole episode, click at the bottom of your screen.